Hello students, lesson 55, Saxon Algebra Math 7-6. We have been talking about common denominators and we're going to continue that conversation. Common denominators. This is technically part 2. The last time, in the last lesson, we did a problem like this. And we learned that we had a least common multiple equal to 6 because we can make 2 multiply into 6. So what we did was we multiplied this by 3 over 3 because we wanted to get this 6 on the bottom, and then we ended up with a 3 on the top. And then the 1 6 we didn't have to adjust at all. And then when we subtracted, we got 2 over 6, and then that simplifies into 1/3. Okay? The important thing about this problem is that we only had to adjust one of the numbers in our problem. John is upping the challenge, and now we have a problem that looks like this. And we can see, oh gosh, 2 doesn't fit into 3, 3 doesn't fit into 2, so we're going to have to pick a new number that they'll both fit into, and then we'll have to adjust both of the fractions. So that makes it a little bit more complicated, and that's why it's part 2. The first thing I want to do is I want to rewrite this problem into a stacked format. That is always our number 1 step. And I'm going to abbreviate that instruction by just saying stack. Determine our LCM, which is equal to, gosh, we have to think of a number that both 2 and 3 go into. What I like to do is take the larger number and just start listing the multiples in my head and figure out where does the other number join in. So 3 clearly doesn't work. 3 times 1 is not going to work. 3 times 2 is 6. So now I ask myself, does 2 go into 6? Yes, it does. So 6 is going to be our least common multiple. I want both of these fractions to end up having a denominator of 6. And we're going to have to multiply them by something to get there. 2 times what equals 6? 3. If I have a 3 on the bottom, I have to have a 3 on the top because this fraction that I'm multiplying by has to end up being equal to 1. Remember, this is my 1. It is not a stovepipe hat. It is a 1. Pretend with me. And so our new numerator is 3 over 6. This is what we do to reshape our fractions so that they will have matching denominators while still being their original self. 1/2 is equal to 3/6. Okay, and then we have to do the same for this guy. We want to end up with a 6. This is exactly the way I want you to format your answer or your work. I want you exactly to do it this way. 3 times something equals 6. That would be 2. 2 has to be on the top because this has to be equal to 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Beautiful. We have matching 6's now. We're ready to operate. And by operate, we mean add or subtract. And in this case, we're adding. Again, when we add, the denominator stays the same. Then we simply add the top pieces. 5 over 6 is our final answer. Okay? The trick is in finding your least common multiple. That's the hardest part of these problems, and that wasn't all that hard, was it? Okay, example 55.2. John is nice enough to have stacked this problem for us. 3/4 minus 2/3. Okay, so we have to find our least common multiple. We take the bigger of the 2, that's 4. First we check to see if the other number will fit into that number itself. 4 times 1, does 3 fit into 4? No, it doesn't. How about 4 times 2? That's 8. Does 3 fit into 8? No, 3 times 3 is 9. Nothing times 3 equals 8. Okay, let's go up one more. 4 times 3, that's 12. Does 3 go into 12? Well, yes, right there, right? So our least common multiple is going to be 12. we have to multiply both of these by some fraction that's equal to 1, and we want to end up with a 12 on the bottom. 4 times 3 is 12, so this must be a 3. 4 times 3 is 12, check. And then this also has to be a 3 because this has to be equal to 1. 3 times 3 is 9. So 3/4 is equal to 9/12. Now we do the same thing down here. 3 times what equals 12? 4. That works. So it has to be a 4 here. 2 times 4 is 8. Notice that when we're done, our fraction should be equal, the denominators of our fractions should be equal to our least common multiple. That was the whole point of finding the least common multiple, is that's what we want to end up with. And we did it, and now we see our answer. We'll have 12 on the bottom, because when you add and subtract fractions, the denominator doesn't change, and we can simply go 9 minus 8 is 1. And that's our final answer. End of lesson 55. Good luck with your homework.